Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma and today I'm going to be doing the Animal Crossing Personalities book tag. This tag was created by Haley over at Leading Lady, and I will post her channel and the original version of this tag down in the description below along with all the prompts so you guys can do it yourselves. But let's just get into it. I'm sure you guys know, if you guys follow my Twitter or if you guys have been around in the last few weeks, that Animal Crossing New Horizon has taken over most of people's lives during this period of self-isolation. I am one of those people. I've been playing this game since it came out on March 20th, every single day for a few hours a day. And it's become kind of my obsession, but I'm kind of okay with it. This game is just so wholesome and so fun and easy to escape into, and I've been enjoying that immensely during this time. So I was really excited to do this tag as soon as I saw that Rhiannon over at Crescent Moon Reads did it, and I wanted to give it a go. There are 8 different types of personalities of villagers that could come to your island in Animal Crossing New Horizon. They've been the same 8 types of characters that have been in Animal Crossing in all of its iterations, I think. But each question in this prompt is related to either a specific character or a specific personality trait that character can have. Alongside each of the books, I'm also going to tell you guys which characters that fit that description I have on my own island and what I think of them, just because that's fun. So the first personality is the Peppy character, and for me that character is Sprinkle. I'm obsessed with Sprinkle the penguin. She is my best friend and I probably annoy the crap out of her, but she loves all of my pink presents that I give her because I give her everything pink that can come into my household or that I can purchase. She wants to be a pop star and she's just absolutely adorable and wholesome, so we love Sprinkle. The book prompt for a Peppy character is to choose a character that you'd be peppy about moving onto your island. And for that, I am choosing Hermione Granger from Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone by J.K. Rowling. Hermione is one of my all-time favorite characters, and I don't feel like she gets enough hype. I feel like she gets overlooked a lot, and I just adore her. I think we'd have so much fun on an island together. We would just sit and read and write and be productive and enjoy ourselves on the island, and I think she would be really motivating and really fun to read with, so that'd be great. Next up is the Uchi or Big Sister personality, and for that, the character that I have on my island first off was Kat, and I really liked her. She was one of my very first characters, and I got really sad because she moved away for like no reason, and I was really depressed when she left, but I ended up actually getting somebody else to move onto my island after Kat left, and that was another Big Sister character, and that was Flo the penguin. I got another penguin. Flo's adorable. I really like her. She's a purple penguin with wicked bangs. She's just pretty chill. But anyway, the prompt for the Big Sister character personality is to choose a sibling relationship between characters that you really enjoy to read. Bonus points if it's a sister relationship. The first one that I want to talk about is not a sister relationship, but it is the relationship between Carter and Sadie in the Kane Chronicles by Rick Riordan. I feel like these get really brushed under the rug when it comes to Rick Riordan books, and I feel like they don't deserve it. These books are really adorable. It's a trilogy called the Kane Chronicles. The first is the Red Pyramid that I have here, and it forces Carter and Sadie to try and save their father and the rest of the world after he releases the Chaotic Gods set. It revolves around Egyptian mythology, which is like something I've been obsessed with since I was a small child. I think Carter and Sadie Kane are such a cute little pair of siblings. I don't have siblings myself, so I don't really have anything to compare them to, but I think they're really well-rounded as a set of characters and really realistic. They get on each other's nerves, but they both love each other and they work well together under pressure. And I really enjoy reading their dynamic. The next sibling dynamic that I want to talk about is a sister relationship, and that is the relationship between the 3 triplets in the 3 Dark Crowns series by Kendar Blake. This series revolves around a set of triplets that are born every generation to the queen. 16 years after they're born, they have to fight to the death basically, and whoever wins, whoever kills both their sisters, ends up being the queen for the next generation. Each sister has a different type of magic, and each sister, once they're born, or when they turn like 6 or something like that, gets separated to the 3 different corners of the island that they rule over in order to train for their 16th birthday. I think the sisters in this are really interesting and really well-rounded. I think their relationship is so strained and so different than normals, considering that they were raised to be prepared to kill their sisters. But their our three sisters, there's Mirabella, who's an elemental, Arsino, who is a like able to control animals, and then there's Catherine, who's a poisoner. I think Catherine and Arsino are my two favorites. I loved Arsino from the beginning. I think she's hilarious. She's so stubborn. She's so out there, and she's just really carefree. She's seen as like the underdog because she hasn't really come into her power yet, but I think she's like one of the more complex characters. And then Catherine's the poisoner, and the one who's definitely had the hardest upbringing. She was raised by people who were poisoning her all the time to try and get her immunity, but her world is really cutthroat and really harsh, and I think she's not well integrated into it. What I mean by that is it seems that she doesn't quite belong, and I think her coming to terms with that is really interesting in this series. But the way that the sisters interact, when they do interact, is really crazy, and I really, really love it. Next up is the Cranky Personality, and I have two cranky villagers on my island. I have Pee-wee the gorilla and Vic the, I think he's a bull. I hate Pee-wee with a passion. Pee-wee pissed off Sprinkle and made her cry, and so therefore I hate him forever. I don't care if Sprinkle has forgiven him already, I haven't. I also hate Pee-wee because he went and sat on the one bridge between my house and the rest of the village, right in the middle of it, and he's so big that I couldn't go around him, so you know, he's just a bit of a dick, so I don't like Pee-wee. Vic, on the other hand, was the very first villager that I actually brought to the island, and I love him so much. He's so cranky, but he's so funny. He always has fleas, and I always keep catching them, and he always gets excited, and he's dressed like a Viking, so he's just adorable. The prompt for this is to choose a book that made you cranky, and for me, that is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I don't have a physical copy to hold up because I've unhauled it. I DNF'd that book twice. I tried to read it 3 times, and, or no, yeah, I DNF'd it 3 times because I tried to read it 3 times. Twice on audio, once on like a physical read, and I hated it. I did not like it at all, and I kept trying to read it because people kept telling me it was great and then I'd love it, but no. And I feel like all the hype just drives me insane because I just don't get it. I was so bored, and I didn't like the characters. Like, none of the characters I enjoyed. It really just wasn't something I wanted to read. Next up is the normal characters, and for that I have Fauna, and I love Fauna. She's an adorable deer that loves to read, and she's just my perfect little character. She's very wholesome and she likes to give me presents, and it's really cute. The prompt for this is, what kind of book can you always go to for comfort? And for that I always am going to choose a fantasy or a middle grade book. Fantasy has always been my favorite series as soon as I discovered it, or sorry, my favorite genre. I adore fantasy. I love going into these crazy complicated worlds, and I love admiring those worlds that people manage to come up with. I always have a good time reading fantasy, and it always cheers me up. Middle grade is similar in that sense. Middle grades just seem so wholesome to me and just remind me of things like Harry Potter and Percy Jackson, so I will pretty much always feel better after reading middle grade. Next up is the Snooty character, and for this on my island I have Gwen. Gwen is another penguin, and she's adorable. She's purple and is just so into herself, but so adorable at the same time. She's always giving like those backhanded comments that are like, starts off as being a compliment but kind of ends with an insult, or the other way around. It's like, it's really funny. She's very full of herself, but she's also very adorable. For this, the prompt is to choose a book that you seem to enjoy that nobody else did, or to choose an unpopular bookish opinion. For me, the book that I seem to enjoy that nobody else did is one that like is very hit or miss with most people, and that is Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I enjoyed this entire trilogy. Many people kind of like brush it off as being a not so great lead up to the great series by Leigh Bardugo, which is Six of Crows. However, I do really enjoy this book. I didn't realize it was written so long ago, like in 2013, but I had such a good time reading it. I loved the introduction to these characters. Here's another unpopular bookish opinion. I don't hate Mal. I enjoy Mal. Who I hate is the Darkling, and we'll get into that. But this series just gave me so many characters that I enjoyed. I loved the setting, I loved the powers, I loved the magic system, and I think the story was really well-rounded and really interesting watching it play out. I don't know why so many people hate this book. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Alongside the unpopular opinion of not hating and actually kind of loving Mal, I hate contemporary YA. The entire genre, I just do not like it. I avoid it at all costs, and I feel like I'm missing out in booktube because I hate contemporary YA so much, but it's just not something I want to read. I find them kind of boring, and I don't really enjoy them at all. The only two that I've ever read that I've kept on my bookcase are The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky, just because I read it for school actually, and it just hit me really hard, and I've always loved it since then. And then The Sun Is Also a Star by Nick Lee. I think the reason I like these two so much is because they both dealt with kind of hard and uncomfortable subjects, and I think they handled them really well. Next up is the lazy character, and for this on my island I have Benedict and Walker. Benedict is cute. I mean, I don't really have any real opinion on Benedict, he's just kind of there. But Walker is adorable. He's the cutest little puppy dog, and I think he's Tyler's favorite on our island just because he's just so chill and just a happy little dog. He's one of the best. For this, the prompt is to choose a book that took you way too long to finish. For this, I'm going with The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson, which is the first book in the Mistborn trilogy. I really liked this book. I really did enjoy it. However, there were a few moments that kind of dragged on for me. I read this while I'm at my cottage, and usually that's indicative of me flying through a book much quicker than normal because, like, not a whole lot of other things to do, and it's my favorite thing to do while I'm there. However, this book took me a week. Normally that wouldn't mean that much. However, at the cottage, this is like really slow for anybody at my cottage to read a book. So I think this one definitely counts for a book that took me way too long to read. Next up is Smug, and the only Smug character I have on my island is Lucha, and we both hate him. I've reported him like 3 times. We keep hitting him on the head with our bug nets, and I just want him to leave. He drives me crazy. He's just really annoying. Tyler got very excited because he walked in on an interaction between him and Gwen and was able to pick a option in order to call Lucha pretentious to his face, and I think that's like the best interaction I've ever heard of. But he is really pretentious, he's really snooty, and I really don't like him. I want him to leave, and I want to find another penguin to join my island of penguins. But anyway, the book prompt for this is to choose a hyped book that you have no interest in. For me, that's any of some really popular series actually. The first is the Folk of the Air series. I've already expressed my hatred for The Cruel Prince, and I have no interest in reading any of the other books despite how hyped they are. I also have no interest in reading any Cassandra Clare books. I started reading The Mortal Instruments when I was a teenager, and I read the first 4 of those books, I think. And I liked them when I was like 15, but since then I've tried rereading them and I just have no interest whatsoever. I think the only one out of the entire Shadowhunter Chronicles that I think I'd enjoy is like The Clockwork Princess, I think is the first one. I don't know. The Infernal Devices series, I think I'd like that one because it's like almost a historical fiction kind of fantasy, so I might enjoy that, but I have no interest in reading anything by Cassandra Clare. And another series that I'm not really sure why I have no interest in reading is the Wayward Children series by Seanan McGuire, starting with Every Heart a Doorway. I don't know why I don't want to read this one. I feel like it'd be right up my alley. It's a series that is surrounding the children who in series like middle grade stories go to places like Narnia, and it's about like their lives when they get back. I think I'd be interested in that, but for whatever reason, I'm not. Every time I see these books, and I see them a lot, it just does nothing for me, and I don't know why, and I'm really confused by it. So next up is the Jock character, and on my island I have one. It is Hamlet the Hipster. He, along with Kat, were one of my first 2 villagers, and I love him so much. I think it was perfect that he ended up on my island, considering my love of Shakespeare, and specifically my love of Hamlet. He's a little weightlifting hamster, and he's adorable. But for this, you have to pick your bookish MVP, and it can be an item, a piece of music, something you do to get yourself comfortable while you're reading, something like that. For me, that is a cup of tea. It seems pretty basic, but I love reading with a cup of tea or any type of hot beverage. I think it just makes the entire thing worth it. Specifically, I love reading with a cup of tea in the bath. I am a huge bath person. I love me some Lush bath bombs, and I just bring in my computer usually. I'll sit it on like a stool beside the tub so it doesn't get water on it, and I'll usually like watch Netflix or put on some music, something while I'm in the bathtub, and then I'll just be comfy. I can stay in there for hours. Get myself some water, get myself a beverage like tea or cider or something like that, and I just have a great time. It's wonderful. So now there's some kind of bonus questions related to specific characters that are in all the series. The first one is for Tom Nook, and it is an auto by author for you. If you guys know me at all, if you've been on this channel for a while, you'll probably be able to guess this one, but it is Sarah J. Maas. I love all of her books that I've read so far, and I've read almost all of them. I just love her fantasies, I love her romances, and I just find her writing really, really, really entertaining. I get like so into it. It makes me cry, it makes me laugh out loud, and I'm always reading these like front to back in one sitting, or like in a day. I think the last like 4 of her books that have come out, myself and my cousin have picked a day and just spent the entire 24 hours from like 9:30 in the morning to 9:30 the next morning just reading until we're done. And I've not regretted it a bit. It's such a fun time. Another autobiography author for me is Rick Riordan. I think his series are so entertaining, and I've read almost all of his books. I only have the most recent in the Trials of Apollo series to read, The Tyrant's Tomb. Next up is Isabel, and it is to choose what your most ambitious bookish related goal for 2020 is. For me, I have 2. One of them is to read 50 books this year, which doesn't seem like a lot when you look at my old reading challenges. I've surpassed 50 books every year for the past probably 3 or 4 years. However, this year I am completing my master's, and therefore I'm going to be in school this summer. Summer is usually when I read the most of my books. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge. 9 months of 2020 I'm going to be in school, so usually that really hinders my reading because I feel really guilty about reading anything that's not related to school. As an English major, I feel like I always have something I should be doing for school, reading or writing wise. So I don't tend to read for pleasure. I'm going to try and change that and try and still hit at least 50 books this year. Wish me luck. Secondly, the other bookish related goal that I have that's quite ambitious is I'd like to actually finish my own novel. I've been writing this book for about 2 years now, since November 2018 when I first took part in NaNoWriMo for the first time. I've been consistently chipping away at it every few months for the last 2 years, and I'd like to finish it. I'd like to, by the end of this year's NaNoWriMo, have completed at least a first draft. I love this story, I love the characters that I've made, and I'm desperate to finish it. Come August, I'm not going to be in school anymore, and I won't be for another year after this year, because I'm trying to take a bit of a break. I've been in school for the past 21 years of my life, straight. So I'd like to actually take some time for me. In that time, I'd like to finish writing my book. Next up is the Able Sisters, and the prompt is to pick your favorite or most recent cover by or your favorite book cover. For this one, I'm going to pick my most recent cover by, and it is actually on its way. I don't have it here, so I'll put a picture of it right here. And it is Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker. I've heard Jean over at Jean's Bookish Thoughts talk about this book a lot, and it's come up on my radar a few times on Twitter and stuff like that, and I'm desperate to read it. It's a ancient Greece historical fiction, I believe, but it's seems to be along the lines or very similar reviews to the stories of Madeline Miller, like Circe and Song of Achilles, which I both have adored. The last book that I picked up on Jean's recommendation was The Penelopiad by Margaret Atwood, and I devoured that and loved it as well. I love ancient Greek mythology and ancient Greek history, so I'm really interested to read something along those lines again. But the UK cover is so much prettier than the US cover, so I ordered it on Book Depository, specifically so I could get that cover, and if you can see the picture right now, you'll know why. It's just stunning, and I can't wait to actually have it on my shelf. Next up is to pick a book related to the infamous KK Slider, and it is asking if you listen to anything while you read. I've answered this kind of already in earlier questions, but I don't typically listen to anything while I read, at least not anymore. I used to be consistent, had to have music on while I was reading, but I've kind of grown out of it, it seems. I tend to focus on silence more while I read now. I'm really interested to try out ASMR rooms on YouTube though, specifically the Harry Potter related ones. I think that'd be really interesting to have some kind of background noise that's not music so that I don't get distracted. Because that tends to be what happens when I listen to music, is I just get really into the music and stop focusing on the book, so that needs to change. But yeah, typically I go for silence. And lastly, the question is related to Brewster, and it is to pick your drink of choice while reading. Again, I've already answered this. It is tea. It will always be tea, but it will specifically be Tetley Orange Pekoe with one milk. That's how I take my tea. And it has been for probably 10 years, and it will forever be that way. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this Animal Crossing book tag. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up because it really supports my channel, and leave a comment down in the comments box telling me if you've read any of the books that I mentioned or if you have done this tag before. Please let me know. If you're new here, please subscribe. I put out new videos every week, and I hope you guys have a lovely day. Bye bye.